evening, and welcome to another episode of SLTU Dialogue. I am Alice Medard. First in tonight's broadcast, the St. Lucia Teachers Union has made every effort to meet with the faculty of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College to discuss varying issues relating to the working conditions at the campus. The Board of Governors of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College was written to in an effort to address these problems. After numerous attempts, the board was reluctant to meet with the executive of the SLTU to discuss the issues adversely affecting its members. On Tuesday, October 30th, the SLTU, joined by the Civil Service Association in a show of solidarity, joined faculty and staff of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College in a silent walk along the college's administrative buildings. Shortly after, the SLTU was able to meet with the SALCC Board of Governors and commence discussions in the hope that the working conditions of both faculty and staff will improve. By doing so, there will be improvements in the learning environment which our future leaders are exposed to. The St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative has launched its Christmas loan promotion. The promotion runs from November 19th to December 21st. Members with existing Christmas loans can apply for the additional amount up to $10,000. Members can also opt for $3,000 to be paid in 2 years. No additional security is required apart from shares. Contact the SLTCC for additional details. And now, our sports news. The SLTU basketball team played the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Combined Forces team on the 25th of October at the Beausejour Indoor Court. The team, although a few teammates short, played defensively. By halftime, Team SLTU was up by 3 points. However, a few mishaps caused the RSLPF to take the lead. By game time, RSLPF had 65 points, while the SLTU team had 58 points. Leading point scorers for SLTU were Lance Prosper with 17 points, 8 rebounds and 3 assists, Kevin Matherin with 17 points, 9 rebounds and 3 steals, and Simeon Hippolyte with 15 points, 5 rebounds and 4 steals. The second phase of the Corporate Warfare Futsal Tournament has commenced. On Friday, November 2nd, the SLTU Futsal team and the SLTCC team battled in a much anticipated and heated encounter. All seemed to be in favor of the SLTU winning, especially after they scored the first goal. But the SLTCC boys fought hard and within the last 2 minutes of play scored 2 goals to bring the game to a 3-all draw. Goal scorers for SLTU were Lynch Isidore, Dyke Francis, and Dwayne Jabaptist. Goal scorers for SLTCC were Nehemiah Estefan with 2 goals and Alan Octave with 1 goal.
All in all, it was a good game, but we had some injuries, so that posed a little difficulty in our game. The game drew free. It will serve as a lesson to us so that we can come together, probably focus on our next game against Windjammer on Friday, the 9th of November. See you there.
In light of our preparation for the game, we knew how SLTU played. They play very good attacking football, so we needed to be on our Q's and views in terms of defending. We lost a bit of that, I guess, because of tiredness. But overall, the game was a very good game, very competitive in all aspects on the pitch. The result is a fair result. They have a very good team. We as well have a very good team, and I think going forward, teachers are representing well in this tournament, and I hope both teams may in the future play a final.
Did you know? According to Article 18 of the Collective Agreement between the St. Lucia Teachers Union and the Government of St. Lucia, paternity leave grants eligible employees up to 5 days of paid leave following the birth of his child. Paternity leave shall be granted to male employees who are married or in common law relationships for over 1 year, providing that the parties share a common household. Male employees requesting paternity leave should seek approval from the appropriate head of department or the permanent secretary. Paternity leave will only be granted, 1, on application for each birth, provided that a medical certificate stating the expected delivery date is furnished not less than 6 weeks before the date of confinement. 2, upon receipt of written confirmation by the mother, which is to accompany the application. Paternity leave following the birth of a child must be taken in full immediately after the birth or immediately following the child's release from a healthcare facility to the home.
At the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative, we know you're busy and we're always looking for innovative tools to enhance your banking experience. So we're introducing online banking, a service that goes with you wherever you are, and it's absolutely free. All you need is a cell phone or laptop. No more waiting on long lines to check your account balance or to update passbooks. With online banking, it's quick and easy. Just fill out a form, get your username and password, and access your account right away. With online banking, you can check your account balance, transfer funds, view and download your account history, create alerts for your account with emailed reports. One convenient service. Online banking with the St. Lucia Teachers Credit Cooperative. An educated choice.
Tonight's guest is no stranger to SLTU. She was once the president of SLTU, and of course she was on our very first show. She's none other than Dr. Virginia Poyot. Welcome to SLTU Dialogue, Mrs. Poyot.
Good evening, Alice. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I had a very good experience in the first show, and now I'm here to talk about something very new.
Yes. So you were president of SLTU, but now you're here taking on another role. You are now the project coordinator of a very special project at SLTU's undertaking. So can you give us a little more about this project?
Now, the project we are talking about is an SLTU project funded by GEF, which is the Global Environmental Facility, and the Small Grants Program, and also the UNDP. This institution, they have decided to partner with the St. Lucia Teachers Union to engage in looking at sustainable development and the environment. Okay. Now, as you know, the Teachers Union is focused a lot on education, and they are under the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development. And you would know that having focused a lot on education, the children and teachers are engaged in innovative activities. And recently I saw you had a session with the gender component of the St. Lucia Teachers Union,
yes,
the Women's Committee. And now we feel it's time that the union step up now to the sustainable development component.
Okay.
And this project, in fact, is basically looking at building the capacity of teachers and students so that they are more familiar with what we need to do for sustainable development, so they can participate in sustainable development activities in their communities and in their schools.
Okay.
And basically we want all teachers and all students to participate in that project.
So you're saying that you're trying to educate teachers and students.
You're right.
I know SDG now, it's a big thing, but it's a new thing for most people. I know that they have identified 17 SDG goals. Can you give us a little more insight, at least a few of these goals?
Well, the critical, in fact, they have the goals more in order of priority. And the most critical goal is no to hunger, elimination of hunger, elimination of poverty. We look at quality education, we look at equity. These are some of the critical areas, and we know when teachers teach in schools, they are actually creating the environment so that children are educated and they can move up the social ladder to eliminate hunger and poverty. And we want to create equity in terms of distribution of resources.
So SLTU's goal is to educate persons. So what is the process?
Okay, now the whole project will engage several activities. One of the activities is to develop a communique which will articulate SLTU position when it comes to sustainable development and the environment. And SLTU will also define and develop a policy in terms of what SLTU stands by when it comes to sustainable development and the environment. So that is one major, and to develop that policy, we want all teachers and other stakeholders to have a say in terms of what that policy will reflect. And then we have training. We need to change the mindset of teachers and students. And we have identified some of the critical things, and we are going to do a needs assessment so that teachers can express what their needs are, what are the areas they think the union should focus on in the training. Now, having done the needs assessment, we will use the feedback from the teachers so that we can develop a training manual. This manual will be used to train teachers throughout the 12 branches of the St. Lucia Teachers Union. And we are going to have 2 national training, one in the north of the island, one in the south of the island. And that training will basically prepare teachers in terms of what they will need to teach the students in the schools. We also want our project to involve parents, because if we teach children things in schools and parents are not conscious, it's like spinning top in mud. So they will have to embrace what the school is promoting, embrace what the children are articulating, and then we'll begin to see a transformation of the environment. In addition to the training, Jeff is having a 2-day fair, a national fair, and that is on the 10th and 11th of December 2018. That fair will be a big event of which SLTU will be participating in. It will involve major exhibitions. They will have booths set up in the entire boulevard, the whole of Constitution Park, and they'll have lectures and productions at the City Hall. And there will be a civil society mock parliament. And SLTU will have somebody in that parliament speaking on behalf of teachers and educators. Now, the other major component of the project is 4 micro projects. We want the schools to be involved in the project, and therefore they will be receiving some funds from SLTU to undertake a project that they will identify and design and implement.
How much funding is that?
Well, there are $43,000 allocated for the micro projects.
So the 43,000
each school will
has
get
to be shared.
About 10,000 or more, and they will have to come up with the matching fund.
We have 70 primary schools. We have 21 secondary schools. How would you choose the schools?
We are going to open it up to every school. We are going to set up the criteria, and we let them know it's a first come, first serve, and we will limit the number of projects we will receive because we'll set a time frame. Now, the schools that are really determined to get the project, they'll be the one that will get going very early. And after we have received, we'll see how many. If it's 20, after 20 projects, we do not accept any more. So people have to rush to be in the first 20 or the first 30.
And this project has to be based on the environment?
It's more or less talking on food security.
Food security.
Right.
So I guess you will give them a theme, and they would develop
we'll give them a theme, or they can identify which theme they want out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We will give them specific guidelines on what are the minimum requirements, and those that have met that standard will be shortlisted. And after they are shortlisted, we will let them come in to present the proposal to a panel. We have a steering committee that oversees the project, and after we have heard their presentation, the committee will sit and decide on which 4 schools should be awarded the project.
So the schools, you'll be allocating $43,000 for that project. But how much money has SLTU received or will receive in all for the project, for the entire project?
Well, for the Jeff Fund, you have to come up with what we call co-funding, and the minimum is 1-1. That means 50-50. If Jeff gives you X amount, you must come with
match it up.
You have to match it up. So the project from Jeff will be 50,000 US, which is 135,000 EC dollars. And SLTU has to come up with the equal amount, which is 135,000.
So we're looking at $270,000.
So the entire project will cost about $270,000.
Is that cash, or can it be in kind? What exactly?
Well, SLTU is a well-organized institution, and it has quite a bit of its own cash, human and material resources, and that they will put into the project to make it a success. Now, SLTU is very confident about undertaking this project because of the whole image and the legacy of the St. Lucia Teachers Union. It has been an organization that has stood the test of time.
That's right.
And when SLTU says they are undertaking a project, they ensure that it is done properly, it is done up to standard, and it is successful. And the reason why SLTU decided to go into this project is because the union feels that it is the only organized representative of teachers and education workers in St. Lucia. And it is strategically placed, meaning that it has its tentacles in terms of members throughout the country. Every remote area you will find a teacher or a school. And therefore, because we are dealing in education, it has the capacity to change the behavior and attitude of the next generation. So if we help change the thinking and the behavior of teachers, who will do the same to the students and reach out to the parents, we are going to see a rapid transformation of the environment. But we must know what is it we need to impart to these people. And that is why we have to be very specific in terms of what are the areas we are going to focus on. We have seen evidence of persons trying to tackle sustainable development and the environment. But this time it is holistically.
I guess the best way to start is through educating persons.
Right, you have to change the people's mindset. Because I'll tell you something. Once I saw somebody actually throwing out some garbage, and I said, but why are you littering there? And the person said, well, if I don't litter, the janitors will not have a job.
Yes, especially students. We tend to hear that a lot.
Right, so they are creating work by littering.
Yes.
But they don't know that maybe that piece of litter might never reach a sanitation worker or a janitor. It might wash straight into the gutter and go into the ocean, and that is going to create a serious hazard for our future life. So we have to change the mindset of the children, we have to change the mindset of communities, we have to change the mindset of teachers, and we can only do that through education.
Okay. I want to go back to the funding a little bit. We spoke about the $270,000, some of it in cash, some of it in material, in kind. But are we looking for corporate partners? Are we looking for sponsorship for the project?
Well, you know, SLTU will not want to go that way alone. We have to bring others with us. And therefore, we are actually looking for corporate partners to come along with SLTU to participate, whether in cash or in kind, and they too will benefit if people know that they too are environmentally conscious and they are contributing to improving the environment and to build the capacity for sustainable development. One of the partners that have come on board, and it's one of SLTU's brainchild, which is the Teachers Credit Cooperative. And they have already said yes, they are willing to partner with SLTU. And we are also looking at the banks and some of the other establishments.
And hopefully they can come on board.
Yes, and they too will benefit from the project because they feel, people will talk about them and they say these institutions are contributing to educating the nation and changing the mindset and improving the environment. The issue of sustainable development, when we spoke about the project, we really mean sustainable. We don't want it to be a one-time project where people just get a little funding and they do a little tree planting or a little garbage collection. No, these things don't actually bring about sustainable development.
You're looking at continuity.
Yes, and it must have a little income generating component, so you can continue to sustain it.
So is that also part of the school project?
Yes, definitely they must engage in a project that will generate some form of income so that when the lifespan of this project ends, they can continue
thereafter.
Yes, so they have to show how they are going to sustain the project after the duration of the lifespan of this project.
Okay, I know teachers are creative, so I know this will not be an issue for them.
Yes,
I'm sure they will come up with creative projects for the students. So the
Right.
students will, together with the teachers, I should say, come up with creative projects.
Yes, now one thing I want to mention is that although SLTU has partnered with Jeff for this project, Jeff is also open to everybody.
So
And,
anybody from the public,
yes,
teacher or not, they could
yes.
write to Jeff and
well,
present
it has
a
to be a
proposal for a
civil
project.
society organization.
Okay.
And the stipulation would require that you have to be registered as an entity, as a recognized civil society organization. In fact, there is one school that has gone out there and try and source funding from Jeff, and that is the Plainview Primary School in Larissus. They wrote a project, and they had to do it through the church organization because that's a registered body, and then they have received the funding to implement the project. So we are also encouraging schools to go directly to Jeff if they have.
So
any
government schools can do it, or
government school, whatever school.
okay.
Yeah. What I know is that Jeff would not give funding to the school if they have a PTA that is
Okay,
registered
okay.
or a church that is registered as an entity. It must be a registered entity.
Okay, but
So
not
some people-
directly the school.
No, they
it's
will-
some entity through the school.
Right, because the school is a government entity.
Okay.
Because government get funding from this program at another level.
Okay.
Okay, they can.
Understood.
It's much bigger projects.
Dr. Poyot, this sounds like quite a lot. Are you doing this on your own? Are you getting help? What are the management structures?
Okay, well, the project itself is an entity of the St. Lucia Teachers Union. It is actually supervised by a steering committee,
Okay.
and we have most of the executive officers comprising that steering committee, and they oversee the implementation of the project. So I am actually accountable to that steering committee. And we are actually using the existing structures of SLTU, meaning that SLTU already have a public relations committee. So for publicity, we use the public relations committee. We work with them.
Okay.
We have the education committee. We will work with the education committee. The Jeff project also stresses the issue of gender equality.
Okay, you
And we will
mentioned
work
that.
with the women's committee.
Okay.
So we are not doing something outside of SLTU. It is actually fully integrated in the structures of SLTU. And we will utilize the branches that is already in place. So we do the training for all 12 branches throughout the island. And basically, it's well at home.
Okay. Of course, the project sounds very exciting. I'm hoping to learn a little more about the Global Environmental Facility, and I'm sure all teachers are looking forward to learn a little bit more about it. So, Dr. Poyot, is there anything else you want to share about the project?
Okay. What I want to encourage teachers out there to expect the call for proposal. Do not allow this opportunity to miss you. And you should be among the first. Every teacher must say, every school must say, I want to be the first to submit my proposal with the hope of being selected. And it is a golden opportunity, and it may spell very well for the education system and the future development of St. Lucia.
Thank you, Dr. Poyot. Thank you so much for coming and for sharing with us today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to a very successful project for SLTU.
Dr. Poyot spoke extensively about the Jeff SGP UNDP program that the SLTU is a part of. But we have with us Mr. Giles Romulus, who is the national coordinator of this project, and he's going to give us a little more insight as it relates to the project.
It is the first of its kind for us in St. Lucia. Since we opened our office in St. Lucia in 2012, we've been anxiously awaiting at least one trade union to come to us. And the reason is because since Agenda 21 in 1992, civil society organizations have been defined to include trade unions and mothers and fathers groups and service clubs and the National Trustees of the Caribbean and so on. So this is our first trade union coming to us. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals are relevant to all of us. And I believe we're entering a period where results are paramount to all interventions. When we fund projects, when we fund interventions that will affect the environment or the economy or people, we have to find ways to measure. And that comes to trade unions as well. Trade unions, we think as well, must also enter a period when they begin to diversify their interaction with the populace and also their clientele. In the case of the St. Lucia Teachers Union, when we sat and spoke with them, fortuitously, the president had just completed a workshop, I think in North America, on climate change. And we started to speak about the opportunities that the union could avail themselves with a grant from us. And by the time we had defined the results framework of the workshop, of the project, we focused on the following. First of all, for the trade union, for the St. Lucia Teachers Union, to develop a policy, to develop a communique that looks at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the context of teacher education and development in St. Lucia. So make the SDGs relevant to the Teachers Union, basically, and for them to begin to define their policies in parallel or with some direct relevance to the SDGs. And the reasons are obvious and perhaps not too obvious. All funding in the world are moving in the direction of the SDGs. SDGs are relevant from basically the bedroom to the boardroom. If you look at them, they're indicators to almost everything you can think of: health, life, education, the environment, the terrestrial environment, the marine environment, the water pollution, everything that you can think of are now encapsulated in one or more SDGs. So the first goal is for them to really take a look at themselves and define how the SDGs are relevant to them in this 21st century. The second part of the project looks at a kind of capacity development for them. The SDGs are going to challenge them in many ways, and therefore we thought they should do some kind of needs assessment. Find out what are the weaknesses, what are the weak points, what are the deficits in capacity among the clientele. And from that internal study, design a capacity development program to help develop, sensitize, inform, educate the teachers about the SDGs and ways and means they can they can use it within their own school environment and community. The third major activity, was a series of micro projects, at least 4 of them, among the schools in St. Lucia. So there would be some kind of competition among the schools to design a project that is relevant to the SDGs and the environment and sustainable development. And the schools will present those projects to a panel, and once the 4 best projects selected would then get a micro grant to go and implement the project. So here you have it, kind of a policy level SDG relevance to the mandate and the mission of the St. Lucia Teachers Union, a kind of needs assessment, capacity development, and thirdly, an action-oriented, measurable results project on the ground to reach teachers. And we're hoping that the teachers are going to see this as an opportunity to access more grants. In fact, we only about 4 months ago funded our first project in a school in St. Lucia. I think it's called a Bellplain School down in Vieux-Fort, where we couldn't fund them directly, but we funded them through the more wider evangelical group that they have in the community of Vieux-Fort, and that is going quite well up to this time. So we are hoping really and truly this is move the Teachers Union to an international level of performance, because the SDGs are so critical. There's almost nothing you can do in the world now that doesn't come back to the SDGs, and funding is related to that. And I believe it's time the St. Lucia Teachers Union begins to play a greater role in this sustainable development debate in St. Lucia. So we hope with this project the Teachers Union will move to a different level of performance and to see their role in the overall development of St. Lucia, the Caribbean, and also internationally through the SDGs.
This was Mr. Giles Romulus, the National Coordinator for the JEF SGP UNDP program. Thank you very much, Mr. Romulus. And now, here is our fun fact. To be a good teacher, one must be willing to be a nurse, police officer, mother, father, cleaner, cheerleader, advisor, and of course, a bank. Thank you for watching SLTU Dialogue. See you next time. I am Alice Medard.